Welcome to the world of Audio Mover. I'm Robert John Hadfield. Thank you so much for joining us for this special event. Today we're celebrating the life, the music, and the incredible legacy of Ozzy Osbourne with a 24-hour marathon featuring some of our favorite Ozzy and Black Sabbath videos from the Audio Mover archives. If you're new here, welcome. Audio Mover is dedicated to the history of classic rock. We dive into the stories behind the albums, the artists, the magazines, the concerts, and the moments that helped shape the music we all grew up with. We now have hundreds of videos covering everyone from Black Sabbath and Ozzy to Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Rush, Deep Purple, Def Leppard, so many more. As many of you know, one of the highlights of this channel came last year when Jack Osbourne shared one of our Ozzy tribute videos. That single post introduced Audio Mover to thousands of new viewers around the world, and we're incredibly grateful for everyone who has joined this community since then. So throughout today's marathon, we'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment, tell us where you're watching from, share your favorite Ozzy memory, or simply let us know which album has meant the most to you over the years. We're streaming this event across several different platforms, but YouTube is our main home, where we've recently passed 37,000 subscribers. So if you enjoy classic rock history and the stories behind the music, we'd love to have you become part of the Audio Mover community. So thanks again for spending part of your day with us. We've got an incredible lineup ahead, so let's get started. Sometimes I start these videos off with a little trivia question. This one's probably maybe a little easier than most. And the question is, what do this album and this album have in common? We have Ozzy Osbourne's Blizzard of Ozz, which came out on September 12th of 1980. And we have Uriah Heep, Abominog, which came out in April of 1982. And I don't know what it was about that album cover. For some reason, it kind of reminded me of that. You remember the movie Creepshow? And there was that crate, and it was under the stairs or something, had that huge mouth. Anyway, I don't know what it was about that, but I remember seeing that for the first time. One of the creepiest album covers. Anyway, and it's actually not a bad album. It's got some cool stuff on it. But anyway, what got me thinking about this was I was looking at this old Hit Parader magazine. This is from fall of 1984. I was reading this article about Ozzy, and there were some really interesting things in here. First of all, did you know that Ozzy protested one of his own shows? He talks about that in here. He also talks about one of the bands he worked with that was the same off stage and on stage, and was sometimes even too crazy for him. Also briefly talks about how this is no longer called Blizzard of Ozz. It's just kind of his solo thing. And I know that's kind of a strange issue, but he actually addresses it a little bit in this article. And so I'm going to read this to you, and it says, "Inside the Asylum. With Bark at the Moon securing his position as the high priest of macabre metal, Ozzy Osbourne remains one of the most controversial and popular figures in rock history. Despite more than 15 years reigning the rock domain, to many people, Ozzy remains the ultimate enigma. A man capable of being a bat-biting geek." That's kind of a funny... Do you remember that word being used that way? I don't know. Anyway, just was a strange word user. A bat-biting geek, or a charming gentleman with equal aplomb. Here now is an inside look at Ozzy Osbourne, the man, the myth, the loon. Okay, Hit Parader. Ozzy, looking back over your career, is there anything that you'd have changed? Ozzy, really not a darn thing. There have been good times and there have been some bad, but they've all helped make me who I am, and that's something I have no desire to change. Now, one thing to put this in context is pretty fascinating. When this article is being published, Ozzy is 35. And so